Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm Debra Eckerling, creator of the Deb Method for Goal Setting Simplified. I'm also the author of Your Goal Guide and the recently released 52 Secrets for Goal Setting and Goal Getting, How to Stay Focused, Grow Your Network, and Get More Done in Less Time. And you can't reach your goals on your own. You need your people. So for the book, I brought together 60, I know it's 52 secrets, awesome people, including one of today's guests, Troy Sandidge, to ask, what is your secret for goal setting and goal getting? Virtually, it's a choose your own adventure menu of the advice you need when you need it to create the life you want through goals. And in a big way, it kind of came out of GoalChat because every week I bring together 3 guests to dive into the topic. Today we're talking about branding. So me in conversation is very on brand Deb. And you might be watching this as GoalChat Live. You might be watching the replay or listening to us as the GoalChat podcast on the Marketing Podcast Network. But no matter how you found us, we're so glad you're here and listening into today's conversation on branding. I have with me today, and it's really funny, I'm like alphabet. Yvonne, whose last name starts with R, is like the first alphabetically. I don't know why I'm finding that really odd today, but
it's intriguing.
Because I think a couple weeks ago, everybody's last name started with the beginning of the alphabet, and it has absolutely nothing to do with branding. So I will stop. Ivonne Ribeiro, iBrandStrategist, joining us today. Stan Robinson Jr. from Social Sales Link, and strategy hacker Troy Sandidge. And these are all, when you hear the word branding, I do think of these people because, and as I alluded to before, I try to be very on-brand Deb. There are ways beyond, and I'm sure we'll talk about it, the colors, but part of it is like the attitude, the who you are, the what you represent. But before we go down that rabbit hole, I think I'm going to let my wonderful guests introduce themselves. So, Yvonne, let's start with you. Please share who you are and why this topic of branding is something that really speaks to you.
I am Ivonne Ribeiro and iBrandStrategist.com. And I think I tried to avoid marketing and branding for many years. Back when I was in high school, my principal told me that I should go into advertising. And she knew then something I didn't know. But I'm glad that I took that route. I didn't study marketing or branding in college. Actually studied psychology and journalism. And so it led me to a path that I was always in branding and marketing. And it was just that common thread throughout. Hindsight is 2020. And it's become something that has blossomed. And I'm so passionate about it. I will geek out. I am in a stage of my life where I am consuming all things branding because I cannot get enough. It is fascinating. It is for everyone. It is not just for large organizations. It's for everyone. It's individual. It's corporate. It is something to be embraced.
Awesome.
I completely agree. And I love that we're going to dive so much into that. Stan, welcome. Great to see you.
Howdy, everyone. Stan Robinson Jr. I'm a chief coaching officer with Social Sales Link. I realize that's a mouthful, but Bryn thought that sounded nice, so we decided to go with it. It does apply, though, because I love coaching. And LinkedIn, Sales Navigator, and more recently, AI, artificial intelligence. So just like Yvonne said, she's been diving into all things branding recently. For the past going on 2.5 years, I've been doing the same thing with artificial intelligence. And that means that I'm in the process of kind of pivoting a little bit because I've been doing LinkedIn training since 2011. Sales Navigator training for about the past 5 years. And with the advent of AI, we're adding that to the mix as well. So I'm looking forward to this discussion because I always learn things. And I've been practicing by listening to podcasts on 1.5 speed so I can keep up with Deb.
Wait, me on 1.5 speed. That feels like it's really fast.
It would be, but your normal speed is about 1.5 for most people. So
Okay, so it's like listening to me is 2, again, on brand. You know, the enthusiasm kind of leaks out of my mouth and on to everybody's ears, which we're going to take as a good thing. Anyway,
absolutely.
Troy, great to see you. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you so much for having me with this amazing panel. We're going to have a great time. I can feel the energy just already in the green room, so it's going to be fun. Strategy hacker, simply put, I help you bring strategy, systems, and solutions to drive growth, impact, and culture. I always find the intersection of branding and marketing complex but fun, especially when we've got to define the difference between the two, but also challenge people to look at things and how the marriage of branding and marketing work in harmony to help you actually get the outcomes and the results that you want. So this is going to be a great conversation.
It is. We were in the green room and Ivonne was talking and then she said, should I continue or do we just save it for when we're on camera? Which is, yes, always good on camera. Not that maybe I should just start recording like 10 minutes before we're supposed to go live so we get the green room and then I don't know, I'll think about it. It's something to consider. But the entire point, I think, first of all, the topic of or the question of authenticity comes up all the time, and I feel like we're going to be talking about that a lot today. The other thing is, I think at least one person has mentioned AI on just about every episode. So it's one of those things that it's a tool that we need to see as a tool, because as a writer, it's really easy to get all when you hear the word AI. But when you figure out how you can use it to be more you, then that's okay. So that's it's slippery slopey, but I'm okay with it. I feel like every week I'm a little bit more comfortable letting those 2 letters out of my mouth. So what is branding? I mean, I feel like it's so many things. Go. Ivonne, let's start with you.
So branding, simply put, is your reputation. And people, if you ask 50 branders, they might give you 50 different responses, by the way. And I know Troy will agree with me there. It is such a complex topic, but at its core, I believe it to be reputation. So, and our act of branding is when we're trying to manage that reputation. So it's being deliberate about what we share. So the reputation that is built is hopefully being deliberate.
Okay.
Branding. I was just going to say, so one other thing, when you think of what is your brand, we ourselves don't define our own brand. I don't say what my brand is. I attempt to put it together in a package, but the reality is individuals who are out there, they are the better barometer of what my brand is. They will tell me, this is what you're known for. This is your real reputation. I may want it to be something, but they themselves, the audience, the world, and that real reputation is the real brand. And that is why we attempt to control it in order to have impact in a real way.
Got it. And so, Troy, what is your take on this?
I agree. I want people to understand that there's going to be layers of this, and also to maybe consider branding being such a wide umbrella that you can focus on the imagery or the tonality or the messaging or the positioning or the color or the essence. All of these things fit under branding, and then you have these subsets. So you may find yourself people using the higher level term of branding, but they're really focusing on one particular percent. Just how in marketing, the running joke is you put any word in front of marketing is a whole new concept. So I think for me, branding falls into proximity, positioning, and power.
Mm-hmm.
How do people say it falls right in line with reputation? The proximity, what is my proximity to you as far as my values or my needs or my demands or what the market says or claims? What is your power? What is that association? And how are you positioning either in the eyes of your ideal client or customer, in the idea of your audience? All of these things matter. And most people get it wrong simply because they interpret branding by what they think, what they see, what they feel, and not what's being communicated, not what's being understood, and not what people perceive you to be. So do more listening so you can actually position your brand properly to actually make it effective for what you need it to do.
So good.
You are totally right. And this is going to be such a great conversation. Stan, what is branding?
For me, in short, it's what people say about you when you're not in the room. So I already have some great takeaways. So if you see me looking down, it's because I'm taking notes, because this has already been awesome for me. I've gotten my money's worth. But I'll leave it at that for me. It's what people say about you when you're not in the room. And as Ivonne said, it's in the eyes of other people rather than you.
Okay, I'm gonna throw in a little different of a question right now, because you before we dive into the whole effective branding thing, I would love for you all to define your brand. So Stan, what is your brand?
Great question. I could see you winding up for that. And I say, okay, is this going to be a curveball, fastball? What kind of pitch is this? And mine is that of a coach that loves helping people become more successful in whatever their pursuit is. Our focus just happens to be on professionals responsible for generating revenue for their organization. So it's been revolving around sales. It is rapidly expanding to helping people become more comfortable leveraging AI and using it to help them grow their businesses.
Awesome. Ivonne, what's your brand?
Yes.
Branding. I love it. Okay, go.
Branding. So what's unique about me, and I feel I really loved how Troy put it, using the word power. You don't mind my dog kind of like going crazy back here. So using the word power, and I associate that with being unique as well. So as whatever is most unique about you is going to separate you from everyone else, right? So what's unique about me is I am serving the small business owners and the entrepreneurs, early stage entrepreneurs, in my general location in Bradenton, Florida, with that unique piece. So helping them find their why, their vision, their mission, their unique selling proposition, identify who their ideal clients are, and get down to the demographics and the psychographics and just all of it. What do your people feel, think? What are they worried about? So as you're doing the research about these people that you're serving, you now have insight about the pieces of yourself that can be of best service to them. So my brand, and then visually, you're going to find that orange circle everywhere. I've gone overboard with the orange circle. Orange was my favorite color when I was a little kid. And for a long time, I just thought it was just like, as an adult, I thought it was a little obnoxious. And I just embraced the orange circle, and it's everywhere. And now people identify with me. They say, I see that orange circle everywhere, like in the grocery store. And they'll like tell me they now associate it with me, which is kind of cool. So yeah, I mean, that's like the tip of the iceberg.
Okay, funny story. Orange was also my favorite color growing up. And when your Goal Guide came out, I did not choose this color, but these were the colors of my childhood bedroom, the orange and the yellow.
Oh,
so how mind-blowingly awesome is there? And I do the same thing. It's like, orange is still my favorite color, but blue is my professional color. So I really love how you said that. Okay, Troy, what
And
is
to
your
seg
brand?
and to segue, blue is my professional color. I typically find myself wearing blues on stages and things like that. But red is actually my favorite color, and I had to match the book. So,
Nice.
you know, we
Wow.
got to do the product placement,
Wow.
go by the book, you
Or
know,
we can
clank,
twin with the
whatever
book.
we need to do today on that. For me, I think people who've known me for the longest time, they're probably disappointed because I'm not wearing a hoodie today. A hoodie jacket is my go-to, but you know, you gotta switch it up sometimes with the swag. You know
There
what
you
I'm
go.
saying? But high energy, my experience is all about talking fast, driving fast results. And it doesn't matter if you're a small business, early stage startup, you're an enterprise making a shift. I've worked in all of them. So for me, I'm as a multi-potentialite, it doesn't matter how we meet. It matters, can I effectively drive whatever impact you're trying to do? And as a Stan echoed, I am veering more into that AI component. How do you move that forward? So for me, it's about being innovative, but also being open that the branding of Troy Sandidge evolves over time. I'm not set on what was 5 years ago, even what was from last year, whatever needs to evolve, or how I need to pivot and shift to always bring the best value to those who want to work with me, or I get the privilege to working with. That's the association I want to be known for. That's how I've been positioning myself. And sometimes letting go of some of the dead weight of the ideologies of services or things that was working that is no longer working is the best benefit for your brand that I'm sure we'll talk about. Sometimes you got to let go of the clutter sometimes. But I think ultimately people knowing that experience, knowing I'm authentically myself, and I'm all about pushing people forward, that's the jam. That's how we do things around here.
That is how we do things. So I'm going to re-ask the question really quickly before we move on, because I feel like, so the D and the Dev method is determine your mission. So it's who you are, what makes you unique, and how you help. And then we whittle it into a motto, and that's, your theme song, the your fun title. Somebody called me Goal Whisperer, and I'm like, I love it. I'm going to use it. And again, it was something someone else called me, so I get to. What I would love from each of you is just, what is that 1, 2, or 3 word phrase that you feel embodies your brand? Because I think it's really important. I love all the background, and I completely agree with what Troy said. It evolves. It's who you are. It's who you're becoming. I didn't rebrand as Deb until 2018, but I've been leading goal groups since before I moved to LA, and I've been here more than 25 years. So do whatever math you want. So Troy, what is that 1, 2, 3 word that is you?
Ooh. I'd say strategy, systems, and solutions. It all
Okay.
encompassing under strategy hacker being, which I actually got trademarked and registered. But I think that encompasses how I am. I'm both creatively and analytically minded. So I can literally turn creative into an actual trackable way to drive revenue and growth impact, but also empower community and culture advocacy as well. And so that for me, strategy hacker-esque, just feels right for me.
Amazing. And what about you, Ivonne?
So I will defer to my tagline, which is dream it, brand it, make it. And I serve my clients in the 3 ways, which is the dream it aspect. I like to help people fire their boss, quit corporate, follow their passion. So we work together to dream it. I do one-on-one mentoring. I certainly do not call it coaching, but mentoring, it's a conversation. Brand it, we do the actual brand work. Where we're digging in together and uncovering the core of the brand. And then make it, I use holistic marketing methods to work with clients to help them just follow their dreams to make it. And that's really what it's about, right? Dream it, brand it, make it. And I, like Troy, and I think probably most branding professionals, you have that left brain, right brain aspect. And it's a nice balance. Like, I love analytics, but the creativity part has got to be there. So to have a nice balance. But it's a long answer to your question.
I should know better than to expect short answers. I actually kind of sort of don't. And Stan, what about you?
Mine, What I'm pivoting to is simply AI strategist, because that's the direction that I'm rapidly headed in terms of the audience that I help. So it's expanded from helping people develop more sales conversations using tools like LinkedIn Sales Navigator, to more broadly speaking, how to help people think about leveraging AI for productivity and growth.
I love that you all kind of pretended to think about it, but you really didn't need to, because when it's your brand, you know it, you embrace it. So, and I've got the brand as Deb: determine your mission, explore your options, brainstorm your path. But I still take it to my tagline: goal setting simplified, because whether it's a conversation, whether it's a book, whether it's a whatever, I like that people know if they're going to get advice from me, it's going to be motivating, it's going to be inspiring, and it's going to be simple. So there you go. So brand people, did I get me right?
I think that resonates.
Well,
Sounds good.
It occurred to me I was going to ask you all to describe my brand, and I figured, no, that's cheating. And so I feel like if somebody is tuning in, they know their brand, but maybe they don't. So let's do it like a quick 101. What is the first question to ask someone when they want to get to know themselves and their brand?
Ooh.
Everybody is thinking. So if you're listening to this, it's you have to, you know how when you think you look up, everybody's pretty much looking up. Okay, Troy, you look ready.
I'm always ready. Let's go.
Okay, so
Stay ready, so I don't have to get ready.
Okay, so what is that first step, that first question for someone who needs to define their brand?
We need to find clarity. What is your superpower that actually matters? And I'm going to pause for people to process, because in the quietness, that's when things get real. Because whatever comes up in that space, you realize what you don't have, what you don't know, what you need to find out to make it work. Now, most people choose to brand for the sake of, I have this idea. And then they hate me because then I have to come in and say, okay, you brought me in to help you make money. So let's quantify if this branding, positioning idea actually would make you money. And then 9 times out of 10, the first idea doesn't make them any money because it hasn't been fleshed out. The audience doesn't know who you are. You don't even know who your audience is. You don't even know what your offerings are. You don't even know. It's so many things you don't know. And I think that clarity of that first question, defining, what do we need to know? What do you want to be known for? What is your superpower that can actually make you money? And let's start from there. Let's not go logo. Let's not go color. Let's not go tagline. For the love of God, let's not go business name. What is the offer? What is the positioning? What is something you feel encompassing your whole being that actually can make you money? Now, if you're not a business and you're just a creative, just wants to create something, totally different segue. But most times, if you're talking to me, you're trying to make money. And so we have to frame your creativity into a way that drives the essence to help you position yourself to actually be successful and make money, and not be the 75% of businesses that fail in the first year.
Before we move on to Stan, you've got a fan here. Chris Stone is tuning in.
Chris Stone is the GOAT.
He is a GOAT. I was just on Dealcasters with him and Jim Hughes last month, and that was a party.
They're so good. I miss y'all. We didn't talk up.
So, Stan, what do you feel like the first step is?
See, that I was trying to narrow it down from 3 to 1, but I'm going to cheat. So it's
Go right ahead.
What do you love? What are you good at? And what can you monetize? So
so it's kind of what Troy said, but different.
Yeah.
But better.
No, it's I can tell Troy's done this before. I was trying to remember, and maybe by the time we're done, who I got that from, because it is definitely not original, but I thought it was so succinct and accurate that I said that makes perfect sense. So you need all three. You have to love what you're doing. You do need to be good at it, although you can learn certain skills. And as Troy kept hammering us, if it's a business, you need to make some money.
I think that it's fabulous, and I have thoughts, but let's get Ivonne in here before I Deb tangent again.
So is the question about finding an offering, or is the question about defining the offering that you have?
The question is about defining who you are as a brand.
So I often say that we're like multifaceted diamonds. We have so many different aspects to us. And oftentimes people hide aspects of themselves because they feel, well, this isn't appropriate, or this isn't relevant, or this isn't, I'm not going to share that I play tennis. Who cares? That's not relevant to the organization that I'm looking to build. But it's those very things that make us unique and memorable that we should be sharing. So if we are the multifaceted diamond, and I just finished working with a gal who was super multifaceted, had a lot of value, and she's a high-end executive, and she just could not get herself around it because it was just everywhere. You have to package it in a way that you can communicate it easily to your audience.
Okay, so the answer is the first step.
My official answer is
yes,
is I'm a Simon Sinek fan. Start with why. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? What is driving your desire to do this? Because yes, you have to make money to be in business. You cannot be impactful without being profitable first. You have to first be profitable and then look at impact. But impact for me is the driving force. Being profitable is understood. We're gonna get there, but it's about impact for me. It's for the folks that I enjoy working with is folks who are doing it for a deeper reason.
Yes, and going back to D, determine your mission. Who are you? What makes you unique, and how you help. And I always tell people that whenever I start a new endeavor, I start with Deb, because when I think I always do better when I do what I tell other people to do than when I feel like I know better than myself, right? So in any of my projects, whether it's my consulting or my books or my workshops or whatever, it is all about that goal setting simplified and how do we elevate people. And at least for me, I start with that. I'm at least 5 different people, right? Because I'm a freelancer, a podcaster, goal person, book proposal strategist, but it's all under that banner. So I feel like
those are all communication vehicles. That's not your brand. Those are the ways you communicate your brand.
I communicate goal setting simplified in a variety of ways, and they are all on brand. Deb, maybe I should have asked you all what my brand was. Anyway, these are great. Did you all, I would love if any or all of you, and I'm going to start with Stan on this, what was an aha moment for you when you decided that you needed to change things up?
The smack on the side of the head for me was trying ChatGPT for the first time. When it comes to why AI, because when I understood what was going on, I said, this is something that's going to affect my grandchildren, and my daughter's not even dating yet. But that's how significant this is going to be. So I better learn enough about it to at least have a voice in the conversation. So that was kind of the impetus for me.
I really love that I asked you what the aha moment was, and you responded with the smack on the side of my head happened when. So I might have to adjust that question because I really like how you frame that. What about you, Troy? Because like me, you are a little bit of everywhere, and you are all you everywhere.
Yeah. For me, is when the P's and L's look different. And if you're meeting for the first time, I don't always talk in profitability, but I'm using that as an anchor point because sometimes when you're heavily creative and a big visionary, you kind of lose track of the analytical sometimes, and you're in denial of what reality is, especially in this marketplace and this economy. But I digress.
Wait, I'm going to
That
say kind of.
right,
Are
but that
are
kind
you
of
saying that creatives kind of don't
you
like
know,
to?
I know from experience, but I don't want to typecast.
Oh, please typecast all you want.
I have to protect myself.
I'm a creative with a background in project management. So
Yes,
go
yes,
with this
definitely need
thread. I like
systems to
it.
make you more effective. But I think that right there just woke me up a bit and realized, see, we can get lost in the task of doing things for all the right reasons. But like Yvonne said, if you're not stabilized and profitable, you can't make an impact because you're too stressed in your own ideology of everything's going on in your own life to help other people. So when I realized that correlation to what I was positioning with my branding was no longer serving me, though you get attached to that, right? But then one day you're like, this can't serve me anymore. And you're letting go of those layers. You're peeling back that onion to get to the core to reinvent yourself, or at least revitalize yourself, if you don't want to use the word reinvent. And once I made that shift, a lot of changes happen, a lot more doors open in rooms I was never trying to go before. That's because I repositioned myself to see what was possible. And I think that's the journey, right? With branding, what is possible if we make this slight tweak, this 1 degree change, and look how many more doors are open to us. A slight change in word going from B2B marketing strategist to AI strategist. Significant difference of possibilities, interpretations, and opportunities await you just by changing one word. What would a slight rebranding do for you if you find yourself stuck? The quicker you can identify this is no longer working, the better you can business yourself to actually make more than what you were making before.
That was great. That was very good. Yep.
Thank you.
I like it. So it's when something hits you in the head or something isn't working or Ivonne.
I'm going to be a little long-winded, but there is a point here. So I'll try to be as concise as possible though. As you know, I was running a content agency for a fair amount of time. And I had left the corporate world and had grown up in the corporate world and had a certain way that I did things because I was raised in that environment. So when I went off on my own, and I was in 2018, I went off on my own, and I did things the way that I did them in the traditional construct. So I ended up building a mini corporate environment for myself. I had a fair-sized team working for me that were doing different parts of the process. And the more that we were doing this, the more detached I was from the final product. And I just was not satisfied. I was not connecting with the clients anymore. I was not even involved. It had grown well. It was super successful, very happy with that. But I myself was not satisfied. In addition, along the same route, I was finding that these clients were coming to us and they wanted videos or they wanted content or newsletters or whatever. And they didn't have their branding down. They didn't really know who they were. They didn't know who they were talking to. There was a disconnect with them and their audience. Why isn't this working? Well, because you're all over the place. You don't know who you are. And if you're not connecting, if you don't know really who you are, it's difficult to create content that's really going to resonate with a very specific group of people. So I took a step back and I said, I'm not feeling satisfied. I don't feel as though I'm serving my clients to the best of my ability. I shifted everything and have pulled back And I am now a solopreneur, and I am all in on branding. I have disconnected from having other people do things that I would delegate for them, which was the corporate environment. And now my hands are in it. It's my decisions, it's my insight, and I feel so much better about the work that I'm doing.
And you're not the only person who I've ever heard this from, that they built something and it was time to build something else, or to scale back, or to go from this to small. And that's okay. I think it goes back to can't get what you want unless you know what that is. And you need to know what you want. I mean, because you can't be of service to other people. So we've got, and I love the scale of this. So when it's time to relook at your branding, it's when you see something cool per Stan, when you notice something isn't working per Troy, or even a little bit of this for you, Ivonne, but also when you discover a need because there was like, you noticed that your clients needed something before they even got to you. So you just said, okay, I'll just do that. I mean, I know it was longer than that, but I think that's part of when you know, going back to what we were talking about before, what is your brand? You know, your brand is being helpful. Your brand is showing people what they need to do so they can have more impact, be better at being themselves, right? So for people who need to rethink their brand or rejigger their brand, because sometimes it evolves and sometimes it's like in the case of Deb, a main client was going away and my mom said, you hate SMART goals, why don't you create Deb goals? And what I've been teaching for years worked for my name, and that's how I got on the Deb path. So sometimes it's that. So for those people who say, okay, it's time, I need to do something different, what is your best advice for refreshing something that's already established?
For me, I would ask them to go back to the starting point again and brainstorm, write themselves a letter, something along the lines, because they can still continue. Oh, this works. Oh, wait, here's the disconnect. So to start at the beginning again and make sure that the path you're on it for a good purpose.
I like it. What do you think, Troy?
For all of my anime lovers in here, or if you're now being introduced to anime for the first time, the protagonist always has a level up. They go Super Saiyan, they go to Gear 5, whatever the affiliation is always they transform into this next level to handle the next villain, the next power, and all these things. What I want you to consider is a rebrand, a refresh, a repositioning is not the death of what you were. It's a level up to go to the next level. We're not setting a funeral. We're having a celebration for what's next. The trials and tribulations are forcing you to purge the impurities to become gold. With that premise being said, I
love it, by the way.
Thank you. I think it comes back to understanding how are you being perceived? Because the most common misconception when your brain isn't working anymore, you're not asking people, how are you being perceived? I could be saying the empowerment of what you need in Swahili, but you don't speak Swahili, do you? You speak English. You interpret English. So why am I not positioning myself in a way that you understand? And so I challenge you to ask complete strangers, what do you think of my brand? What do you think of my messaging? Don't ask your family. Don't ask your community. Don't ask your besties. Don't ask your church people. Ask complete strangers, how do you interpret my website? How do you interpret my offer? Do you like my colors? Like, go deep on that. Because you know what's going to happen? It's off those first few seconds of random people interpreting who you are. That's how you're being perceived the most. And if you can harness that, modify it to what you need to do, and then 10x who gets to see it, the probability alone puts you in the better positioning to be successful as you level up.
I love that.
Wow.
Okay, Stan, go.
I'm sitting here saying, wow. I mean, we've got psychology, we've got philosophy, we've got removing impurities from gold. This is awesome. The one thing that comes to mind for me is in this whole process is give yourself some grace. In other words, a lot of us, if any of us, I have a hunch more than one of us are kind of type A personalities, and we want to get things done. And why didn't this go exactly the way I had it planned? Sometimes you have to step back and say, hey, it's cool. It will be all right. I'm going to make these changes. I'm going to have a little bit of patience with myself as I go through this process of changing. And I'm going to figure out what I want to do and then pursue it. So that's what comes to mind for me when it comes to refreshing your branding. Give yourself some grace during the process.
And you're right. We all want things yesterday, if not the day before. And I feel like the whole evolution of a brand is like the evolution of a business or the evolution of a relationship. I mean, there's not the reason that I am always so focused on setting the foundation is because I believe that when you know who you are, what you want, how you will help, and then put it out in the world, yes, you know what you want to become, whether it's to build a business or create thought leadership, but you give yourself a little bit of wiggle room to discover things that are in line with you, open the doors and see, how you can walk through them or what doors open as you're on this path, rather than saying, oh no, I need to be absolutely this thing and this thing alone. And I feel like that really trips people up. So how do you stay true to yourself and your goals in this process that takes way longer than anybody wants it? So Troy?
You gotta tackle it head on. For those who know me, I speak a lot in mnemonics and acronyms. So DART comes to mind: be direct, authentic, resourceful, and tactical. To Stan's point, that I need to hear that every day, all day, and twice on Sunday. Have grace and patience, two things I have, but sometimes you want it to work. But I think understanding that this is going to take some time. And I always tell myself up front, this is probably going to fail at the beginning. A good marketer understands, failure is part of the process. I've been an engineer. It took me 1,500 attempts to make a circuit breaker work in the right sequence to make something light up. You don't know the pain of spending hours for weeks to make something light up for 2 seconds in the proper sequence. It is absolute torture. But it's the same thing in marketing. You can run a million campaigns chasing this thing to happen and it doesn't happen. Same thing in branding. You hope that this positioning is going to just take off and you try it out and people are like, huh? I don't get it. It doesn't make sense to me. And then you got to run it back and try again because we missed something. And there's a possibility you can do everything right systematically and still get it wrong because people don't perceive it the right way. We're humans. We're not mind readers. Maybe Debra might be a mind reader, but the rest of us don't have the ability to clairvoyance. So it's understanding that failure is part of the process to success and get very comfortable in that. Not that you got to be numb to it, but when you get comfortable with that resistance, just like you're in the weight room, it's easier to build the cadence up to move that forward eventually over time. And I think that separates those who brand well and those who change every second of they get any type of resistance whatsoever because it didn't work for this one group. I got to test it out. It didn't work for this one group. Try it for a while. Maybe that's just the wrong audience. Maybe just try somebody else. Ask more than 10 people. Wait more than 1 day. Push the campaign more than 30 days. And let's see what happens.
Oh, you just tripped over one of my landmines. I mean, I think it's important to give feedback, but be sure you're getting feedback from the right people and you are not changing things every 30 seconds. Mm-hmm. Any good consultant will say, you need to work with me at least 3 months to see the results, right? Ivonne, what do you think?
So a lot of good insight. And one thing we haven't touched on yet is that really strong, good branding might piss some people off. It's going to turn off the wrong people who are not for you, and that you shouldn't be upset that you upset a group of people. Don't get hung up on that, because you can't be everything to everyone. So you have to be okay with some people not following you, unsubscribing, that whole process, because it makes room for the people who really are listening, who want, and you want to shoot your arrow to the target. You don't want to be in the woods shooting an arrow in every direction. If you're blindfolded, eventually you'll hit the target. But isn't it so much more effective to actually be focused on the target and take your shot to the bullseye? And with that comes social listening, being really active about listening to what the target audience, not everybody else, what the target audience is saying. What are they talking about? What are their pains? What is keeping them up at night? What makes them really happy? What is going on in their world? And how can I make my minor adjustments, maybe just in content, for example, to connect with them on that point? So social listening is really important, I think. And don't be afraid to turn people off, because we're just going to piss some people off sometimes.
Okay, no, I have to ask you this, because this is one of the bigger issues that I have, because as a goal strategist and author, Deb, who's your audience? And my answer is always the one you're never supposed to say, everybody, right? So I usually cheat and I say busy professionals who want to create the life they deserve and desire. So that's my little cheat. Who am I going to piss off, and how do I do it?
Well, if you take a look, so here's just, little exercise right here. So if you look at the last, I don't know, 10 clients that you've had, or 20 clients that you had, what is in common with them? What are they in common? Is it a location? Are they maybe all in your town, or maybe 80% in your town? What is in common with them? Are they in a particular industry? What is in common with them? And start to find out, is it like a range of, a revenue? Are they folks that make under 500,000? Are they folks that make between 1 and 5 million? Like, who are those people that you're serving, and serving well? That is your niche. Start to dig into that, because you're now, when you start really speaking to that group of people, and other people will be like, well, she's not for me because I don't make 500,000. Okay. Because if you're targeting the 500,000 people trying to break to the 1 million, someone who's making 100,000 is going to be like, well, it's not for me. I'm not there yet. They don't have that vision. But to the people that are at that point, whatever that point is, she's for me. She knows my struggle. I'm trying to get to this benchmark.
Okay, I like it, and I find it really interesting from the consulting point. And really, most of my consulting clients are book proposal strategy, because I have noticed that people think that goal is a luxury item. So which is like cuckoo bananas for me. Okay, you think having goals is something that's like a value add? No, it is the value. That's okay. I can get on with this, but I do find that clients who want something tangible, like a nonfiction book proposal, are more likely to want to work one-on-one, and anyone else can learn my goal stuff from my books. So that's the way that I've adjusted it. So the clients that I go after are these, and I use my speaking and my books for the people who want to really dive into goals. So what you're saying is I'm doing it right.
It sounds like it.
Okay, cool.
We
Yeah,
could
no,
do a deep dive strategy to figure that out, or an audit, but at the surface level, it looks as though you're doing well. You're doing very well.
well, I wasn't going for the Atta girls. What I would I'll take them. But what I find really fascinating, though, is like I said, it's the people who we'll go back to what Troy was saying. The reason for the latest book is the secret to success is there is no one secret. There are plenty of air quote gurus out there who say, do exactly what I am saying and you will be rich like me. But only that person has their background, experience, wealth, whatever. So no. And this way people can pick and choose and take different ideas out for a test drive. I forgot where I was going with this. I feel like the more you that you are, that you show up for your brand, it's got to be an advantage.
I absolutely agree with that. And you started the conversation with authenticity.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't want to be in a position where we're studying a particular demographic and we're like, okay, this is what they need. This is what they're thinking. This now I'm going to create a persona to serve them. Right. That might work well for really large organizations. Right. But really large organizations are hiring influencers to be more like people to connect. And then like the individual solopreneurs, they're trying to be like organizations. Right. So the big guys are trying to be.
Stan is just enjoying this as an audience member way too much, but I'm just telling you in a second. So get ready.
No, that's all right. I love Yvonne's train of thought.
Yeah, but the big guys are trying to be like, individual people connecting. That's why they're bringing on influencers and all, to make that connection. And small organizations, they have in their mind that they want to be big and they don't recognize that their own authenticity is the real deal and the thing that's going to set them apart. And I had another thought on something you said, but it's gone. I'll talk forever. So pass it back to you.
So before we get to gifting goals, Stan, do you have anything else that you want to add about anything?
Just what both Troy and Yvonne were talking about in terms of willingness to make mistakes. There's a book out there called Wrong Until Right. It's by a gentleman named Mike Russell, who has an engineering background, very technical. But I think, Troy, you mentioned how many times it took you to get the circuit to work the way it needed to. And if your mindset was, this has got to be right, you never would have gotten there. You had to accept the fact that, okay, I tried it, it didn't work. So let me try it another way and another way and another way. So just getting our mind around the fact that we can be wrong or zigzag like a missile with a guidance system that keeps getting it back on course until right. We don't have to be right from the start. We just have to get going. So
and it's not bad to have that. I think a lot of entrepreneurs feel like, I failed, no good. It's an obstacle. I'm discouraged. I didn't do it right. And I think what we're all talking about is that's part of the process.
So let's give people some goals. So whether it's to, and I don't know that too many people are starting from scratch. As we've been discussing, we are who we are. We are our brand. But what can people do today, tonight, tomorrow to really hone in on and embrace their brand so they can build their business? So, Yvonne, what goal would you like to gift?
And I think I would say, and this was initiated by Troy, is to speak to your ideal clients and survey them and ask them, what do you think of me, my brand? Get as much valuable input as possible.
Okay. I love it. I love when your homework requires you to talk to other people and be interactive, because it's so easy to live in your head. But if you want to do more, be more, as it were, you need other voices playing around. So thank you for that. Stan, goal?
Take some time or block some time. And this is something Ivonne mentioned earlier, is to think about your why. Why are you doing exactly what you're doing? Now, the corollary to that is, okay, and who am I going to help while I'm doing this? But put time in your calendar so that it doesn't get pushed aside and it doesn't get shortened by something that's urgent, because the urgent will always push the important down the road. And give some serious thought to why you're doing what you're doing and who you're actually going to help, because that'll help to get you through the hard times that will inevitably come later.
I love that. And I am a huge fan of time blocking. And whenever I'm being interviewed and I say that, you need to treat these appointments with yourself as gold, like the same way you would treat an appointment you have with someone else. But I do give people a cheat. You can move the appointment if you have to, but you can't delete it. Once you commit to the time to yourself, you have to go through with it. So thank you. I'm Deb, and I endorse this goal. Troy, goal?
I know we're at times I'll be quick and concise. For starters, you need to disqualify to quantify something similar to what Yvonne said. But to do that, I challenge you to take a social media detox from posting and creating, because most people brand themselves for who they are, not where they're trying to be. And you need to position your brain for where you're trying to be so you can actually get there. So imagine what would success for you look like with your brand, and research that: keywords, people, profiles, organizations, ideas, creative, and consume and observe. Consume and observe. Don't say nothing. Just consume and observe. Follow the mapping, follow the journey trail, subscribe to some newsletters, listen to some podcasts around everything around what that success looks like, so you can embody that mindset, the content, the text, everything, sit with it, and then connect the dots, reverse engineer it back to yourself. And then when you're ready, then post and see what sticks and double down on that.
I love it. I love that you called it simple, and it is, but it isn't.
Just a lot of subtasks, but it's really simple.
Yeah, it's taking a break and filling your mind and with what you need to know, and then taking that pause before you go. Because as we all want success yesterday, we do have itchy trigger fingers, don't we? Friends, this has been a fabulous conversation. Where can people learn more about you? Ivonne?
iBrandStrategist.com or on LinkedIn. That works.
Excellent. And Stan?
I'm Stan Robinson on LinkedIn. And as Deb just put up, you can also go to socialsaleslink.com/library. If you're leaning in the direction of getting AI to help you, just go to askssl.ai.
Awesome. And Troy?
FindTroy.com. I'm literally Find Troy everywhere on the internet. So if you're trying to find Troy, it's pretty easy to find me everywhere you need to go.
If you want to find Troy, go to Find Troy. And if you go to thedebmethod.com/blog, you can read the recap and get the links. I am at the Deb Method everywhere, and I am live every Monday at 4 p.m. Pacific on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, chatting it up with awesome people. And you can also subscribe to the GoalChat podcast on your favorite place to subscribe to podcasts. Thank you, friends, so much. What final thought do you want to leave people with tonight? Stan, final thought?
Final thought, make a decision and just follow through.
Okay, I like that. Ivonne?
I would say if someone is looking to really start to develop their brand, further, to not ignore the gap between the strategy and the creative. And that's where you want to bridge that gap.
Bridge the gap. I like it much better than don't ignore. We like positive. Bridge the gap between strategy and creative. Fabulous. Troy?
When it comes to branding, it's not about an icon. Please don't get lost in the noise of things that can be changed over things that actually matter. Branding is ultimately at its core about the experience they have with you and your experience with them. The totality of everything is part of which makes you memorable, noticeable, and desirable and in demand. And so make sure you know what that experience looks like and position your experience accordingly.
Don't get lost in the details. Figure out the experience. Is that
100%.
Did I get it?
Always.
I love how you said always. Thank you again, Ivonne, Troy, and Stan for joining me today. Thank you for tuning in. If you need a little bit of extra help with your goals, you can, and figuring out who you are and what you want and how to get it, grab a copy of your goal guide, a roadmap for setting, planning, and achieving your goals. Or if you're doing pretty well and you want to do better, then grab a copy of the new book, 52 Secrets for Goal Setting and Goal Getting, How to Stay Focused, Grow Your Network, and Get More Done in Less Time. And you can reach out to me at any time on LinkedIn or at thedebmethod.com. You tune in for a reason. You either love your brand and you want to love it more, or you need a complete Etch-a-Sketch. Whatever it is, you have that power. So take some time, figure things out, and then just go for it, because we know you can do it.